This is an SWX sports presentation. Drive for the title. Dancing in the Desert. Powered by Coeur d'Alene Casino.
They've gotten guys that have been very skilled, but they've also been fighters. You know, and they go on the floor. I mean, they're great kids. They shake hands afterwards. They go to school. They do their homework. They treat people the right way. They say please and thank you. But once you throw that ball up, they will rip your heart out and watch you bleed. And isn't that what we want in a competitor? I mean, that's the way it's supposed to be. And that's the way it's been here.
Folks, welcome to Arizona and a bird's eye view tonight over sunny Phoenix, Arizona, where we are now one day closer to tip-off of the Final Four. Good evening. We are live in Glendale, Arizona. I am Sam Adams.
And I'm Lindsay Joy, and we are coming at you live from where all of the action will happen later this week, University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale. Now, our crew on their way down right now. The Zags, of course, don't arrive till tomorrow, but Sam, hopefully everyone's flight is as smooth as the one you had earlier this morning.
Boy, that was fun. We got to go up in a helicopter bright and early this morning with one of the traffic reporters. I tell you what, if there's one way to beat the traffic in Phoenix, Arizona, it's to get on a helicopter. We got to take a look over the entire town. We got to look at Squaw Peak and some of the stunning landscape here in the area. We also got to see some of the skyline and, of course, the venue itself, the Final Four venue, of course, right behind us and on the screen, University of Phoenix Stadium. They've already hosted the Super Bowl here, and things are about to get a whole lot more exciting with this Final Four, Gonzaga and South Carolina on Saturday.
All right, so let's take a look at how those matchups have shaped up so far. Gonzaga and South Carolina facing off on Saturday afternoon in the early game, followed by Oregon and North Carolina. Now, what's interesting, depending on the outcomes of Saturday's game, there's a possibility we could have a national championship border war.
All right, but before we get to that, of course, we want to get you fully invested in the area of Phoenix and what it takes to put on a massive event like this. And if you take a look at this is what was going on here inside the University of Phoenix Stadium earlier this week. And the stadium not the only place undergoing a transformation. Our KHQ reporter, GU grad and Phoenix local, Morgan Marham, giving us a look at how her city has transformed here for the Final Four.
We are planning for a lot of things in the downtown core.
Just 4 days away from the Final Four, and Arizona is ready. The transformation of downtown Phoenix is well underway. Where once was asphalt, there is now a basketball court. 3rd Street is now FanFest Way.
And what transformation is complete without a 360-degree bracket of every single team in the tournament, including the 4 that are headed here to Phoenix on Saturday.
You know, you just have all the fans from out of town, plus we have our local residents that, you know, really support all of the major activity, the mega events that we've hosted.
This kind of weekend is a dream come true for the city of Phoenix.
We're ready. You know, we've hosted last year the college football national championship game, and the year before that the Super Bowl, so we're ready. We have a lot of experience.
And if you're planning on making the trip,
you can leave your umbrellas at home. The weather's going to be beautiful, probably in the 80s.
Morgan Marham, KHQ Local News.
And whenever the Final Four comes to a city like this, of course, there's a lot of media coverage that goes with it. But what may go unnoticed is a pretty cool tradition. The NCAA has started a way to kind of say thank you as the host city.
And Patrick Erickson has more on how he saw this firsthand.
Oh, good evening, guys. That's right. If there's one thing we've learned since we've been down here in Phoenix is that the folks here absolutely love basketball. Believe it or not, this is the very first time the Final Four has been down here in the desert of Arizona. The NCAA not only bringing games to the area, but earlier today we also found out they're also bringing the gift of basketball.
Built in 1927, Harmon Park is known as the heart and soul of basketball here in Phoenix.
As a kid, every basketball player dreams of playing during March Madness. Ultimately, the Final Four and a national championship is where you want to land.
The court, which has seen countless college players over the years, NBA Hall of Famers, and even the Harlem Globetrotters lately had fallen into disrepair.
Thanks to this project, Harmon Park's exciting future can mirror its rich history.
But along with its very first Final Four, Phoenix's most well-known and historic basketball court got a major facelift.
But it's through the thoughtful efforts like the restoration of Harmon Park that have the long-lasting impact on our communities and on the kids that'll benefit from this for years to come.
Through their Legacy Restoration Project, the NCAA refurbishes or donates a brand new court every year to the city holding the Final Four.
Perhaps one day, children who played here will find themselves competing in the Final Four and bringing home the title, a legacy that will last long after we cut down the nets on Monday night.
As you can see behind me, just how popular this park is, including this brand new court. The nets are still up here, and they are still up over at the University of Phoenix Stadium, at least until Monday. Reporting live in Phoenix tonight, Patrick Erickson, KHQ Local News.
Patrick, thank you. Well, you see the excitement here in Phoenix ahead of this Final Four. How about all the excitement from the former Gonzaga players who are all heading down to see their team in the Final Four for the first time?
Well, we know Richard Fox is one of our analysts on KHQ on our Gonzaga broadcast. He's also an NCAA tournament extraordinaire. He swung by our Fastener Sports studio to catch up with our Mike Stephenson.
Now joined by Richard Fox, of course, does color commentary for us on KHQ and SWX, but you are a GU alum. You played for Coach Few. What comes to mind when you see that video, how the legacy has grown and it's all come full circle to the Final Four?
I just think sometimes you lose sight of the fact that there's been so much history and so many great players and so many of them are still here in the community, and a lot of teams that were pretty good that just couldn't get over that hump. But really what kind of got to me was that family component, and that's so true about the program. And then as you see guys that have stayed here and have had their own families, and we're all kind of connected in a weird way, starting with GU basketball, but then, you know, kind of it's Spokane, so it could be professionally or personally. So it's a very unique situation.
It's obviously so much pride for you and all the former Zags. So now let's put the analyst hat back on.
Sure.
How did this team get there?
Well, it's the same theme I think we talked about all season, which was the depth. You look at the front court, the length that they have inside, particularly with Collins and Tilly coming off the bench and what they can do. I mean, they basically, you know, I don't think without them you beat Northwestern. Their ability to switch defensively in the smaller players, defend the rim, and also rebound, I think really won them that game.
And they're going to face a team who wasn't expected to make it to Phoenix. In South Carolina, they've got the SEC Player of the Year. They're pretty physical. They're big. On paper, GU is obviously a heavy favorite, but what do you see early on in this matchup?
Look, they're top 10 in the country in turnovers forced, three-point percentage defense, top 10. I mean, it's going to be a knockout, drag-out kind of game. It's not going to be something that's fun to watch, I don't think.
Well, I'm excited for you as a GU alum and as a fan. Good luck to you. Richard Fox, thanks for coming in.
You got it, buddy.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, one of our favorite Zags, Richard Fox, joining us, giving his breakdown here on Gonzaga.
That's right. Hopefully he and all the other great former Zags that did so much for the program will get to see this history live in person here this week.
Still ahead on the Zags' drive for the title, dancing in the desert. We crash Mariners spring training to talk a little basketball.
Plus, why is Gonzaga so hard to pronounce?
What's not disputed is Zaga. It's never Gonzaga.
Special lesson from our partners at the Spokesman, so you can help all of your out-of-state friends who butcher the name.
Plus, a shot at history for Nigel Williams-Goss. What he may do that 6 of Gonzaga's finest have never done. Stellar run here for Gonzaga here in the NCAA tournament, and of course their junior guard Nigel Williams-Goss, the transfer from Washington, on top of a trip to the Final Four. This season could be getting even sweeter for that young man.
Yeah, it was just announced that he's a finalist for the John Wooden. He's on the John Wooden All-American team. He is a finalist for the John Wooden Award, of course, given to the College Basketball Player of the Year. And
Nigel in some pretty elite and impressive company for the award, but out of all the finalists, well, he's the only one, folks, that's still playing right now. Also in contention, UCLA freshman Lonzo Ball, Villanova senior Josh Hart, Kansas senior Frank Mason III, and Purdue sophomore Caleb Swanigan.
Nigel's the only the seventh Zag in history to be named to the Wooden All-American team. He joins Kyle Welcher, Kelly Olynyk, Adam Morrison, Blake Stepp, Dan Dickow, and Casey Calvary. So that's basically the who's who of Gonzaga basketball. Of course, Nigel Williams-Goss only been playing in a Gonzaga uniform for 1 year, so pretty cool to see him get that in just his first season as a Zag.
I guess the only question right now is, will it be his only season as a Zag? Of course, that's going to be one of the questions that emerges for Gonzaga. The better you are, the more games you play, the more exposure you get. There might be some NBA teams that are very high up on Nigel Williams-Goss and, of course, the freshman Zach Collins.
All right, so clearly Nigel will be a player that South Carolina will be keen on in this matchup. Let's check out what Frank Martin had to say about guarding a guy who's as good as Nigel Williams-Goss.
I've seen them play a couple times. I think they're a very mature team. They're very old. Mark Few is one of the great guys in our business, not just who he is as a human being, but how he coaches. They're going to be very disciplined, and it's going to be an unbelievable challenge for us.
This is weird.
And then you take the next one.
All right, clearly a lot of respect for Mark Few and company from South Carolina, and we can tell you the feeling is mutual.
Well, yeah, with how South Carolina has been playing, it's clear they will be a tough matchup for the Bulldogs as well.
All right, for more, let's turn it over to Mike Stephenson in the Fastener Sports Studio. A look at that Final Four matchup against South Carolina. Mike.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, we all know South Carolina, just like Gonzaga, making their first ever trip to the Final Four. And you know the old saying, defense wins championships? Well, the Gamecocks are hoping it proves true once again. South Carolina, considered by many to be the Cinderella team of this year's tournament. They had a 7-point victory over the Florida Gators in the Elite Eight. Frank Martin's their coach. Sindarius Thornwell, that guy right there, he's their stud. The SEC Player of the Year had 26 points against the Gators, but it was the defense leading the way as the Gamecocks forced 16 turnovers. It was actually under their average this season. Of the 68 tournament teams, only one forced more turnovers than South Carolina. That'd be West Virginia. Yes, the Zags, no slouches on defense themselves, will hope for another hot shooting performance like they had against Xavier. So here's a look at South Carolina's magical run to the Final Four. It opened with a 20-point win over 10th-seeded Marquette. Then they busted a ton of brackets when they beat Duke in round 2. And in the Sweet 16, it was no contest. Another 20-point win, this time over 3-seeded Baylor. And then a very impressive showing on Sunday against Florida, setting up the first ever matchup between Gonzaga and South Carolina. So again, defense, defense, defense will be the story. But on paper, the Bulldogs are a much superior offensive team. So the challenge for South Carolina is going to be to contain GU's pace of play and also try to score a lot themselves. If you're curious, the line at the sports book has Gonzaga favored by 6.5 points. That is a pretty large spread for a Final Four game. All right, that's enough from here. Sam and Lindsay, let's get back out to the desert and rejoin you guys.
Thank you, Mike. Well, coming up after the break, if you know anyone who still says Gonzaga, tell them to tune in. We've got a little tutorial for you. That's next.
Hello, I'm Rob Curley, editor of the Spokesman-Review, and I wanted to help clear up some of the confusion related to how you say some of the things tied to our local basketball team. Though there have been mispronunciations all year, it was Saturday's announcement by Phoenix Mayor Greg Staunton that told us we needed to help you.
Congratulations, Gonzaga Bulldogs, on making it to the Final Four.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton, and I'm a huge college basketball fan.
And it's not just elected officials. Broadcasters have been making these airs all year.
And Gonzaga head coach Mark Few.
3.5 some shops versus Gonzaga, both squads covered.
So let's start with the word you're going to be using the most, Gonzaga. Notice I said that, Gonzaga. It's disputed whether it's Gonzaga or Gonzaga, so I typically just say Gonzaga so you can't tell whether I'm saying gon or gun. But what's not disputed is Zaga. It's never Gonzaga. Then there's the name of our community. It's Spokane, not Spokane. This is easy to remember because it rhymes with Spokane, not Spokane. But if you really want to be local, you'd say it like this.
Well, the origin of the city of Spokane's name is called Spokane, Spokane, and that's the word for the sun or the moon.
One of the Zag's star players is from Poland. Pronouncing his name can be tricky because there's a lot of consonants in it. The P is silent, the R is silent, the Z is, it's all silent. Just say Shemek. The Zags are like the United Nations of basketball. We even have a player from Japan. We pronounce his name Rui Hachimura, but in Japan they say it more like this. I hope you found this helpful. You're going to be saying these words for a very long time. Go Zags.
Or go Zogs. Apparently,
Yeah.
we've heard it all sorts of different ways. Gonzaga, Gonzaga, Gonzaga. We're spreading the word here in Glendale.
Jay Billis from ESPN tweeted out today, by the way, everyone in Spo Vegas just wants the world to know they're not the Zogs, they're the Zags. So Jay Billis coming through, of course, he's growing out the Shem beard, so he's just a big Gonzaga fan at this point. Hey, we didn't hear a lot of Gonzaga, though, at the ballpark today.
No, we didn't. In fact, we hit the stadium in the Peoria Sports Complex. We talked to the Mariners about, yes, the Inland Northwest favorite team, your Gonzaga Bulldogs. We're talking baseball and basketball when we come back.
Truckland has the best selection of trucks and the best prices in the Inland Northwest. Get down to Truckland and buy your new used 4x4 truck or SUV. TrucklandSpokane.com. Truckland.
April is Plinko Party Month at the Kootenai Casino in Bonners Ferry. With $49 midweek room rates and $99 weekend rates, it's easy for you to check in and win. Backed by popular demand, it's a Plinko party with over $90,000 in bonus play being given away during April. Low room rates, a month-long Plinko party, and $90,000 in free bonus play up for grabs. April is your month to win at the Inn. To book your stay, call 888-YOU-ARE-LUCKY.
Oh, this is bad. Can I help? Dentist, huh? I'll pass. Think it'll be faster if I wait for someone else.
Last time I dealt with a dentist, it took forever.
Look, I get it. But Aspen Dental is making things easier. So you get your dentures in days and a money-back guarantee.
That does sound easy.
Fire her up.
Should have married a dentist.
We're not the dentist you remember. We're easier. With dentures starting at $3.99 per arch and a money-back guarantee.
Welcome back to Glendale, Arizona. Well, this is where all the good basketball is happening right now. But by the way, it's almost baseball season.
Yeah, happy Felix Day to everybody out there. Felix Hernandez was making a start in spring training today. Just about 15 minutes up the road in Peoria. We decided, hey, let's go up there and catch up with one former Zag, a guy who's from the Tri-Cities as well, and a guy who's taking advantage of Gonzaga here in the Final Four. Here are your Mariners talking about your Bulldogs. Well, Cody, I know you're a Gonzaga baseball player. Have you heard about the basketball team recently, what they're up to?
I have. I may have seen something on TV. So first Final Four, pretty exciting, especially they're going to be here in Phoenix.
I mean, I don't follow a lot of college basketball, but they're always been a powerhouse. So, you know, it's fun to see them get as far as they have in this tournament.
Well, my bracket got busted, but in the spread pool, I got Gonzaga in the Final Four, so it's looking pretty good.
Wow, pretty bold pick having them in the Final Four. How far you got?
I hope they go all the way. If they go all the way, I win some money, so that'd be nice.
You know, I usually pick them for a good couple of wins every year, and this year I had them going all the way. So it's pretty exciting that that's actually coming to fruition.
You know, you got everybody stepping up. It's just not one or two guys. It's a whole collective team, which I think separates the teams in this whole bracket.
It's a team effort, and they play well together, and Coach Few has them all just in sync right now, so it's fun to watch, and it's good basketball.
Granted, some people might say they don't play in a tough conference, but every year they're in the tournament. Last year they made a deep run, and this year they're making a deeper run.
What that team does for the whole city of Spokane is pretty incredible, and the support that Spokane shows, not just basketball, but all their sports in general, is pretty awesome. I think they're going to pull it off. I definitely think this is a year that they, put the haters to shame and silence them for once and finally get some respect. The program's been so incredible the last, 18, 20 years, so it's pretty amazing what they've been able to do on such a small scale. And, finally this year, let's see if they can pull it off.
Can we get a big go Zags?
Go Zags.
Go Zags.
Yeah, let's go Zags. Take it home.
And the Mariners not the only big fans of Gonzaga. A lot of fans here in the area, of course, coming into town watching the game today.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break, but coming up next, a KHQ employee going viral. You don't want to miss that. It's next.
All right, folks, welcome back. Now, before we wrap up our coverage tonight here, our broadcast team is also Phoenix bound.
Yeah, that's right. Dan Kleckner, Stephanie Vigil, they are all heading down. They were in the airport earlier. They're on their way down. Hey, how about Claire Graham going viral on the main page of Reddit with Zach Collins and Gemma Karnowski?